Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to all you wonderful people. Welcome to Chelsea's Perspective. Another episode, another Transfer Daily stream for us all. And I was a bit scared because it was a quiet day. Nothing was going on. I thought, what the bloody hell am I going to talk about for an hour or two? But the last 3 hours have been absolutely crazy. Announcement after announcement. Fabrizio putting things out left, right, and centre. The title that I have is basically redundant. So that we will talk about some of these things, but there's a lot of things that we haven't even discussed because it's just happened so quickly. But welcome all. So many of you already making your comments. Welcome, Wilder. Been a long time. Well, make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell notification so you get a notification every time we stream and you don't have to miss us too much. Big up to Dominic. Top of the day to you too. Waldo with a comment. I think this Gallagher news is fake. Widely speculated that Atletico need to sell a player before signing anyone. That's why Felix is rumoured. Yeah, I mean, it's very contraindicated, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Big up to Melina. Yes, indeed. Matt Ball takeover for a few more days. Coachella is back, I believe, on Friday, only because he's put a stream in the schedule already, and that's not mine. So he will be back on Friday, guys. You only have me for a couple more days. A few more days of suffering before the mighty coach returns. Big up, Mazzol. Hello, everyone in the house. A lot of drama happening. Chelsea ruining. Here we go for Maurizio and others. Yeah, it's a lot of drama. There's never a normal day at this football club, and anyone with a health condition, I would advise not to be a Chelsea fan because that will not make it any better. Chelsea at football club should come with a health warning because it is absolutely crazy. Big up to Nightbot as well, as always in the chat, putting in these great questions. Community, making sure everyone is nice and happy. But let's stop the rambling that I've been going on for 2 minutes and let's get in to the nitty gritty, into the meat and bones, what we want to talk about today, which is Chelsea Football Club. And let's start. I'm a positive person, so let's start with the big positive news, and that is that Cole Palmer has signed a new 2-year extension. His contract will now be till 2033, not 2023, 2033. He is here for another 9 years. Death row contract, technically this is. We have got Cole Palmer for the rest of his years if Chelsea Football Club want to, because he's on such a big contract. Apparently he has got a pay rise. Not speculated what the exact figure is, but it is believed to be above £120,000 a week and around the level of Caicedo's wage, which I don't know off the top of my head. That is why I'm not quoting a specific figure for you guys, but you can figure that out and see what that is. But for me, opinion, well-deserved, absolutely fantastic. We've had rumours of this going on for a while now. Waldo, actually, great comment. It is insane. 9 years. I mean, just because he only signed last summer and he's got another 2 years. I mean, I thought it was going to be just a new contract, no extension, and just an increase of wage. But no, you know what? We're just gonna give out 9-year contracts now. Effectively, that's what we're going to do. That's Chelsea for you. But yeah, I think it's a positive thing. We've heard rumours that this was going to be discussed anyway. Maybe because of the drama that's happening today, that is why it's been announced now and not after the transfer window, because I think a few people are a little bit pissed off at the moment. I'm actually just going to quickly take you guys with me because it's now suddenly pouring down rain, even though it's boiling hot in this country. So let's not try and get the whole living room door by the patio absolutely soaking wet. British weather for you in its finest. But anyway, let's get back to the football. So yeah, Cole Palmer has signed. Rumours are now coming out. I'm now going to check who it is that said it because I'm pretty sure it was Matt Law. But I'm just going to double check for us now. Yes, it said that Chelsea would also like to extend Nico Jackson's contract by another 2 years and reward him. Negotiations are likely to take place in due course. So I don't think we're going to hear that confirmation now. That'll probably be in a month or two, because obviously negotiations of contracts do take time, extensions, and obviously Chelsea have got a lot more to do first. But that is also good to see Nico Jackson rewarded for what was a decent debut season at the club. And something I didn't notice that Matt Law put out, and normally I don't, I'm not Matt Law's biggest fan, but when he's actually putting facts out rather than his opinion, it's nice. It's nice to know this. So he said that Chelsea's average wage bill under Roman Abramovich was more than 200,000 a week on average. This has now been significantly cut to an average of around 60,000 a week, with big incentives for individual and team achievements, which for me is absolutely fantastic transformation. Having an average wage bill of £200,000 a week is not sustainable for a club like Chelsea, who revenue-wise, we don't bring in as much as some of the bigger clubs because of smaller stadiums, especially right now when we're out of Champions League. To have that, for the owners to do that, there's some things that the owners have done wrong and people will moan about. But I think this is something that we can go, look what the owners have changed and look how rapidly they've changed it. And that's considering you've still got people like Lukaku, you've still got people like Sterling who are on monster wages. I think it's fantastic that the owners have completely changed the whole wage structure and made it a much more fairer, and it rewards competition. So these players, of course, they don't want to be earning just 60k. That's 60k a week. I'm not going to say that's an average person's money, but that's not a lot for a top footballer. But if they want to earn the more money and the bigger wages and get the bonuses, then they have to perform. And I always think this is the best type of contract to give out to people because it incentivizes them to carry on playing and playing well. But, you know, clubs don't. Clubs just want to give out all big money right now. And that's why everyone's finances have gone crazy. So let's have a look. Big up to Patrick Joyce before we move on to some of the other topics. Nice to meet you, but where's Coach? Coach is on a well-deserved holiday right now. You know, everyone has to take a break. So rather than this channel dying for a week and dying in one of the worst weeks ever, Coachella has gladly brought me in just for this week. And maybe you might see a bit more of me after, but that'll be fully up to Coachella. Big up to everyone else in the comment section. Coach is serving match suspension. No, I mean, technically he's enjoying himself. I mean, he deserves to enjoy himself on holiday. Big up to Vic, who's just joined us and made a comment. And speaking of welcoming people, we're going to welcome into the panel. Bobby, how are you? Don't know if he's here yet with us, because I can't hear him right now, but we'll carry on talking anyway. Next topic of discussion, which is obviously, we'll go into a bit of a smaller topic in the aspect of things. Apparently,
sorry, Matt, can you hear me?
No worries, I can hear you now.
Sorry, I've got like this sort of double mute system, and I try and mute with my handheld, and I had them both on. Yeah. Well, what was the question to me? Did you ask me a question?
Well, I was just asking how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Always a pleasure to come on and, you know, have my say, you know, listen to what others have to say and talk about the current somewhat chaotic twist to things. It's so crazy. I've sort of not avoided having any kind of opinion about it, to be honest. It's a bit of politics, a bit of finances, a bit of this, a bit of that. I'm like, you know what? There's always an issue with Chelsea. But we're not alone. At least Zubimendi did his bit um, to mess up the Liverpool fans and their arrogance over getting him. And what can we say? We sit and wait and hope. I wouldn't mind getting um, Joao Felix back. I actually wanted him to stay with us. I was hoping we'd be able to do a deal. He wants to take a wage cut, which is helpful. I think he'll be very good in this team. He will accept a sort of squad playing basis. I think he'll fit right in, and of course, his experience is a bit of a marquee. Although when we say his experience, he himself is only 24. He's one of those players that's sort of been around forever, but he started young and he's been playing at the highest level forever and a day to the ripe old age of 24. I
Yeah,
wouldn't mind him.
yeah. I mean, I was very annoyed when I originally heard it, just because I think I look at it one of Omaridian and Felix, absolutely no profile similarity whatsoever. So it just bewildered me in the first point. And I just look at it and go, we've got Nkuku, we've got Palmer. So in the middle, there's not, and we've got players like Dewsbury Hall that can play a bit more in a different way, but in that same similar sort of position at the top of the midfield. So I feel like in that aspect, we've got a lot of people already there. I feel with Joao Felix, he's not someone that when he plays out wide, he likes to come in towards the centre rather than playing out on the wing, which I think kind of want to be a bit more out on the wing at times. And then I don't really want to see him play up front either. So I feel like where he fits in terms of I think he's going to have to accept the squad role. I'm just hoping we don't pay too much for him in terms of the transfer. I feel like 60 million euros for me. I know he cost Athletic a fortune, but that was their fault for paying it in the first place. But I think we're going to pay too much for him personally. But at least the wage cut.
60 million euros. I thought he was about 40 at max 42 million pounds. That's got to be in the 50s of euros.
I think that's what we were looking to eventually pay. But I think recently today, where did I read it? I'm trying to find it now. Atletico are more looking at 60 million euros. Whether that can come down or not is another question, but they seem very unhappy with Chelsea at the moment. So I don't see them putting I can see them slapping a stupid fee on it just to beat Chelsea up a little bit.
Well, yes and no. They're the people saying that the Gallagher deal is tied to it. And I don't think they would want the Gallagher deal to collapse with Chelsea walking away. So there's a limit to their bluffing. They can't just bluff carelessly. I think 60 million euros is steep and is threatening everything to just go down the pan. Chelsea don't have to do the Gallagher deal. I know it's not prudent, and it risks him going away for nothing. But rather than be shafted, I mean, he costs nothing anyway. So rather than be shafted for 60 million for Joao Felix, walk. Let the whole pack of cards come down. I feel sorry for Gallagher, but it is what it is. I don't think the club should be sending out. They've done so well this season to send out the signals that they're not just going to be the cash cow to any stubborn continental or indeed our own English club that wants to start, adding zeros to the price of a player. I think that's unreasonable from Atletico, to be honest. I really do, and they need to get that down. I mean, George Mendy's on it, so if that's the best he can do, I really wonder how much of a super agent he really is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he is a super agent. So hopefully, but mind you, he probably thinks more transfer fee probably gets his own cut of it. If he thinks Chelsea will pay it. But I wonder. I mean,
An interesting one.
let's add DJ Sav to the party. DJ Sav,
Hey,
how are you?
DJ.
Big up, guys. What's going on? You guys good?
All
DJ,
good.
big up, bro. Big up.
What's your whole
Were you there on Sunday at all?
Yes, I was, bro. I was there. I was looking out for you. But mind you, we've not even met, have we?
No,
I think I was waiting for someone to come and tap me on the shoulder.
Yeah,
or something like that.
I was gonna send you a text as to where I'll be because I was hopping between the West Stand and the East Stand. And I found it's been years since I've been back there during match day, so moving around wasn't that easy for me. I was getting caught up with people and that, but and I come with my son, so my son was mainly in the East Stand. So it's just like, don't worry, I'll do a few more games. Now I've come back and I'm live, but it was lovely. It was brilliant to be back. I was so happy to get back on match day. And thank God we didn't lose.
No, well, we almost did, didn't we? I mean, obviously Pedro Neto being introduced to the squad, introduced to us before that, I thought was excellent as well.
Yeah, that's a nice signing. It's a good signing.
Very good signing.
All the chaos going on now, I think that has allowed most of us to just chill and watch this madness unfold. If we hadn't got him, I think some of the fan base would have been a bit upset right now.
I mean, we've had riots in the UK at the moment. There'd be a round 2 just around Chelsea.
Wouldn't surprise me, Matt. Wouldn't surprise me at all, bro. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
But what is your opinion on the whole Felix, Gallagher, Omicron deal gone?
I'll be honest with you guys. I actually think this is actually being done on purpose, to be honest with you. When I say done on purpose, I mean, I don't think it's done on purpose to the fact that I think Chelsea all along maybe wanted Felix. The fact they've come out and said that he failed the guy actually failed the medical was a bit of a surprise to me because, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't he playing in the World Cup? Sorry, in the athletics for Spain. In the Olympics with Spain. Am I right in saying that?
He was.
Yes.
So I don't understand how this all of a sudden he's picked up an injury and he's failed his medical. I personally don't think it was the case. I honestly truly think that they've looked at the situation. I think they've heard a lot of what the fans have been saying. I think a lot of people have been saying I'm not saying they've heard what the fans are saying, but I think a lot of fans have been unhappy with the signings that we've made with the youngsters that we've been signing. And I think bring someone back like Joao Felix. I know a lot of fans don't like the fact that he had a bad stint at when he first came to Chelsea, but what he does bring to the team, guys, is experience. He's experience, and I think for me that is the most important factor for this Chelsea team, Matt and Bobby. To be honest with you, because if it's one thing we do lack in this Chelsea team, is experience. And can you just imagine having Joao Felix coming in and then you bring Osimhen on top of that? For me, that's a good transfer window. And I think I can see both those deals going towards the end, right to the end of the transfer window. I think more news coming out on Osimhen today as well. I'm sure we're going to go back on. I'm sure we're going to be talking about that later. But on the Joao Felix situation, I'm actually glad. I'll be if he signs, I'll be happy, but not for the money that's been actually quoted for him. Because I think when this whole started up, I think we were talking about 40 Chelsea offered 45, was it 43 or 43 million or something like that euros?
I think it worked out to 42 million euros.
42 million. Athletic Madrid obviously turned it down. Obviously, they're saying Gallagher's supposed to be part of this deal, but then if you're hearing it from journalists such as Ornstein and also from Fabrizio, apparently this deal for Felix is separate from the Gallagher deal. So I don't know what that is, why this whole situation with Gallagher has not actually worked out for Atletico Madrid in terms of why they've obviously let him come back to us.
The thing, Fabrizio's just come out and said that everything apart from the final signatures is done with Gallagher. Literally, Atletico Madrid just have to sign the thing and it's done. Yeah. But for some reason, they are just being very funny with it. And it confuses me because at first they kind of said that the Alvarez deal was going to collapse, which would make sense because, that's 80 million. But suddenly that went through and I was like, well, why has that gone through? And you're not going to allow Gallagher to go through. I mean, there's rumours that other clubs are looking at Samu. I think Leverkusen were looking at him before we agreed with him. I think Bournemouth are now looking in. I mean, to add my kind of 2 pence to kind of the sport, just general sports medicals. I mean, one of my mates, he used to play for Saracens. Up, and when he signed for them, obviously, I have got an understanding of what the medical takes place on. So they look at injuries, like kind of how fit you are now.
Mm-hmm.
What they'll also do is they'll look at kind of each joint, each structure, and in certain cases, especially if you've had potential injuries before, they'll look at how it looks, and they'll look for signs of, is this going to become a problem in the future? And there's a lot of times, I think Danny Ings has had it before, Charlie Austin, players that I can remember previously, that have failed medicals on the basis that they've seen something in the knee that they're not happy with, that it's fine now, but it might not be fine in the future, and they don't want to take that risk. I mean,
I don't know. He's very young though for that sort of thing, isn't he?
I mean,
it is really odd.
I mean, someone mentioned ankle, but I don't know if that's true. I mean, from what I know of situations like that, when clubs, I mean, one of my mate's friends that didn't get through in the end, they will look at that, and it doesn't necessarily collapse the deal, but what they will do, as Chelsea kind of have done, is they'll go to either, normally it's they go to Atletico Madrid and go, well, we will take this player still, but knowing this information, we want a reduced fee, because it mitigates the risk a little bit. I imagine Atletico Madrid has told them to jog on. So I reckon Bowley and Vince Stanley and Stewart have gone, let's be a little bit more different about this and try and use the image rights of a player to try and get this through. And obviously, that's not gone down very well. And I do think that's the bit where I look and go, that's a bit not dodgy, because clubs do get certain aspects of players' image rights, especially the top players. But I don't know, 50%. I was like, that's where I can kind of understand when people go, Chelsea wanted this deal to fall through, because I think it's just that.
I look at this as 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, to be honest, and the details probably won't come out till much later, if it ever comes out. I'm with DJ on this one. Surprise, we're usually thinking of that. But you know, I actually would quite like to see Joao Felix back. He's only 24, as I've said before. You know, it sounds like he's been around forever and a day, but he does have a lot of experience, because he's been playing at the highest level for right from when he was a baby, really. And he will fit into this type of system very well. You know, he's very good at the 1-2 close control. You know, there was a platform I was on, and there was you know, a bit of joke going around that he has a magnet to the crossbar. He does kind of miss those sort of chances quite a bit. I don't know why. Maybe he's so good to, not the crossbar, the post. You know, maybe he plays a post challenge instead of the crossbar challenge. I don't know, but we could do worse having him. And if we get him and Osimhen, my God, we're back in business, mate. I'm telling you. So I don't know, but this whole this situation, it's unpleasant. It's bullshitty, really. But I think they're both to blame. I think somewhere along the line, something's happened. Chelsea, who are trying to be a bit more pragmatic, we're trying to change our name out there in the transfer market. We're trying to make clubs not see us as a pushover. Oh, it's Chelsea. I'll add a couple more zeros. Oh, it's Chelsea. Oh, they're going to take him. They're desperate. Do you see what I mean? So we're trying to show a bit of stubbornness. I'm all for that, because we've passed that stage of just doing anything everyone wants, because we've got our players largely, and we can play a bit of a game a bit. Especially I've got to say, the European sides. You know, I'm a little bit annoyed with them. They plead poverty when it comes to us to buying our players. Oh, we can't afford it. They've got money. You know, it's not like they may not
spend it.
Yeah, you know, they're so pragmatic with money. It's crazy. Look what Napoli's doing. they're going to take that whole Osimhen, Lukaku situation to the wire. And spill no bones about it, lads. We know what Conte's like. Conte doesn't mess about. He said he wants Lukaku. That's who he wants. He doesn't want anyone else. Forget what Napoli's saying. Oh, maybe we're looking at this and that. He's not into that. And he's already started shooting vibes out there. You know what I mean?
And I'm also thinking another thing, Bobby, right? We can more or less help this guy out here because he's looking for a goalkeeper. He's looking for a striker. Yeah, so chuck in Sanchez to him. He needs a goalkeeper at Napoli. Give him Sanchez. Throw Lukaku in there. Get rid of Lukaku off the books. And then and maybe another centre-back that we can maybe give to them. Yeah, so we sort out more sorting out Napoli's whole of what Conte wants in terms of players to come in. So, yeah, we can more or less do all those deals. And that's not going to happen. Oh, that's not going to happen, but I'm just putting that one out there. But still.
To be fair, we say Sanchez, let's throw Kepa at him instead.
Yeah, or even Kepa, bruv. Yeah, even one of those three, mate. Any of those, bruv. But in terms, going back to what we were talking about, I was just sorry, I was just going to finish my point on you guys. Were you guys going to carry on? You guys want to carry on? I just want to basically say on the Felix thing. Yeah, I think it's great experience. We can bring him in, Matt, to be honest with you, as I said. And I also think that he knows the club already. He knows some of the players already in that team. Obviously, I'm obviously a bit happy with the fact that he knows the league. I'm a bit happy because of the Portuguese side of it, because I'm Portuguese myself, so I'm glad to see another Portuguese player coming in. So I'm happy about that. So in terms of all that, it all fits the bills in terms of myself in that way. But we can bring him to the football club. As I said, he knows Enzo, how we know how they were playing together when he first came to the football club. So yeah, for me, it can work out very well. And you throw Osimhen in that deal as well. I mean, because I'll be honest with you, going for Samu as we were going for, why bring someone like him and another kid when you've already got Guehi and you've also got Washington already there? So why add another kid to the fray when you can just bring two experienced players in? And for me, if you get someone like Joao Felix in, and then you bring Osimhen in on top of all that, yeah, I'll go against these owners a lot, but I can start saying to myself that maybe now starting to think about the club and making them start winning again, maybe. But at this moment in time, as everyone knows, I'm so against these owners anyway, since they've been at the football club. Bobby will tell you that, okay? And I still don't believe in what they're doing, but I just feel their project has just not been that great so far, and what they've been doing with our football club, especially the two stooges in Winstanley and Stewart. So for me, in that kind of like way, okay, they've got to get this right. And if they get those two players in, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that obviously I'm a little bit still skeptical of Felix, especially because he's gone to a few places and he's never really felt, no one's ever felt like kind of, I want to keep, like even Barcelona. He went to Barcelona last year, did okay, but in Barcelona, obviously I know Barcelona got their financial problems, so that's a bit of an aspect, but no one's kind of, he's never really felt at home anywhere. Even Chelsea, he came in and then Poch was like, no, I don't want him. So I'm a little bit skeptical of it, but the thing that makes me think yes in terms of this is obviously the fact that you're bringing in Felix and Samu's obviously it's a striker we're not getting. It makes it even more likely that Chelsea would actually push it for Osimhen, because then you've got Osimhen, you'll have Jackson as a backup instead of playing on the left. And then that's even a potential chance for Mark Guy to stay as a third choice as well, which obviously Bobby will be happy with that to see him potentially. So I think that potentially that if that is what happens, I don't mind. I'm still just, I don't want to see Felix starting every week. That'd be my thing. I think having him for certain games. If he wants to play Conference League, I think that'd be good. Yeah. I just, especially as we kind of mentioned, final products, I just don't think it's there. And it was fine when he was 18 when he first moved. Now you're 24. It's like you've got, I don't know. He's very flashy on the ball, and I think that will help us in certain situations. But I do want to see him come in and be a squad role. I don't want to see him come in, think he's going to start, and then not start, and then potentially get a bus. Because obviously when he first came in, we didn't have many players, so he did start, and he was starting, and he was a little bit more the main man until he got sent off and had some problems. But we'll have to see what happens. So do you guys think eventually Gallagher will go to Atletico, or do you think do you think it might fully fall apart, and do you think he'll stay, or potentially someone else might come in?
Do you know what, Matt and DJ? I hope he does, because clearly he's got his heart set on it. It's been so much hoo-ha. I'm scared, because the brinkmanship on both sides is, it's serious. They're not playing these guys. I do get it with the whole Samu thing. I feel sorry for him as well. I hear he was quite excited. So I hear he was quite excited and really wanted to come to Chelsea. And we forget, that's another kid. He's only 18 himself. So that wasn't nice. I don't know. I think I don't think Joao Felix is a bad player. I think he'll fit very well into the squad. I think he'll be useful to us, and I think Chelsea could finally be a home for him. We give long contracts anyway, and I'm sure we're going to get to the whole Cole Palmer thing. Woo, woo! I'm so happy about that, and I think they're trying to give one of those to Jackson as well. So, Joao Felix, they won't sign him for anything less than 6 years because of his age. So, lads, I don't know this one. I'm hoping it happens more for his sake than even Chelsea's at this point. And I'm all, club above the player. But in this instance, I think, I'd like to see him just get it signed. But there's no problem from our end. It's from their end. So there's not much we can do about that. If they're holding their pen in their pocket and they don't want to bring it out and sign until we reach an agreement with Joao Felix, bit of an odd one, that, isn't it? It's almost like they want to buy him for nothing, because if we have to pay that, do you see what I'm saying? If they, the money we give them, they just give it back to us and get a profit on it. So it is a bit crafty. I'm lost at this one. I really don't know. But I don't like it. I think they get a bit too draconian when it comes to doing business with Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Matt, on it, I personally think I know there's a lot of fans out there that don't like Gallagher. They want him gone. He gets called the Gallo dog and all this kind of nonsense that comes out of some fans' mouths regarding the player. I, for one, I actually think he's a good player. I think he was probably, whether Chelsea fans like to accept it or not, it's just facts. He was our better midfielder. He was our best midfielder last season. He was better than Enzo. He was better than Caicedo in the beginning, and he was obviously, we had no Lavia. Obviously, Chukwuemeka had his injuries as well, as we all know. So he was our best midfielder, whether fans like to accept it or not. It's just true. I mean, I used to go and watch. I mean, as you know, I go and watch their games week in, week out at Stamford Bridge. And for me, every time I used to go and see Gallagher play, he was always the one player that, for me, that was trying to do things more on the pitch for anyone than some of those other players that we had, and obviously him and Cole Palmer. All right. So for me, look, if Maresca's already come out and said that he's not going to fit his system, for his sake, and I'm not saying because I want the player to leave, but for his sake, yeah, for me, he needs to go. He needs to go and play. You've got to remember, he's an England international as well, guys. We're gonna, he's made himself established in the England team as well. He needs to be playing, and he's not by sitting at Chelsea on the bench week in, week out. But all the others are going to come in and play ahead of him. The manager's already come out and said that he doesn't think that he has a place for him in the squad. Then it's just more or less him sitting on the bench and doing nothing. Yeah, you can bring him on in games, as you know. Yes, we need a squad because he'll be playing more than 4 competitions next season. But at the end of the day, if Gallagher is not going to be part of any of them plans, even then there's no point in the guy staying around. He's still, 23, 24 years old? Yeah. So for me, he needs to be playing. And I hope he does get a move to Atletico, because I think Atletico will be the kind of club, kind of manager under Simeone who'll get the best out of him. And I think you'll see him quick for Atletico Madrid in that midfield, and then you'll see him putting in performances on for England when he starts playing for them at international duty. So I hope he does go in terms of that. If I'm going to be in that kind, if if I'm the selfish side of me saying not to go, but in terms of his career and playing wise, I'd say I hope he does go just for the sake of his career and playing time.
Yeah, I think the club have made it obvious that obviously they don't want him to stay for one reason or another, whether it's manager preference or the owners want to sell him for pure profit. So I think you just at that point it just needs to happen to whoever, because I don't see Gallagher as that type, but you don't, even if he stays for a year, you don't really want an unhappy player in the team. I don't think Gallagher would kick up a fuss with it, but it still affects the whole team morale, especially if he's just playing in the under 20 or just training with the under 21s and wasting a year. Because I see this, I see Enzo to be stubborn enough not to bring him back into the fold, and the owners at the same time. So hopefully Gallagher can get his move, and Atletico can just sort it out and just stop being. It almost feels like Diego Simeone is running the deal, because that's just how Atletico are just acting, like how Diego Simeone is, which is just unpredictable, selfish, and just a little bit of a prick. Sorry for my profanity. But let's get into a nice positive, which we've kind of mentioned a little bit already. Cole Palmer signing a new contract, a little bit of a bumper wage. DJ, we'll start with you. Obviously, I know you're going to say it's good, but what do you think of the whole contract and Palmer being effectively down for the rest of his career? By the looks of it.
Oh, mate, I'm ecstatic by that news, mate. I am. You know what's what you know. Also, Matt, I'll be honest with you, bro. I was going to be honest with you, and I'll be honest with what I'm going to say here. I was a bit worried about Cole Palmer in terms of I knew he was never going to leave the football club, but when you're hearing ridiculous moves coming out of Real Madrid, that there's a possibility that they may accept an offer from Vinicius going on such a bumper deal to Saudi Arabia. You're thinking, who's the next kind of player they might want to come and target if that deal was to happen? And Cole Palmer fits that bill. 100% he fits that kind of bill, that kind of way, because they've already got Bellingham there. So in some ways, I always knew he was never going to go. He was never going to leave Chelsea. The talk was obvious. We always knew he was always going to get his new contract. I think we knew this before the World Cup. I think it was already been said before the end of the season that he was going to sign his new contract. Finally, he signed his new contract. I do believe he's now in the same wages as Caicedo and Enzo. Good on him. He deserves it. Excellent talent, excellent player. By far, whatever people want to say, by far our best player last season. And people seem to think, oh, he might be a drop-off next season. I don't think so. Not the way this kid's attitude for me and the way he sets himself up in every game he starts. This guy's out to win and he wants to win. And, you know, whether Chelsea at this moment in time are going through a situation that we're going in, this guy's still a winner. We forget who he's come from. He's come from Manchester City, a team that is known for winning under a manager, Pep Guardiola, who's known for wanting to win matches, winning trophies. We know this. We all know that history. And he's just bringing that to Chelsea. And for me, signing that new contract, tiding him down to whatever time, wherever we've got, I think it was 2033 now. Is it something like that?
Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong on that. Yeah. So for me, in that way, mate, yeah, that's just an excellent deal. And you know, look, I'm not saying he'll be at Chelsea forever, because I'm sure at some point, one of the clubs, probably like a Real Madrid, will come in for him at some point in the future. I hope not, but you know, knowing Real Madrid as we do.
All I'm going to say is if they do, they're going to have to pay a hell of a lot of money.
Exactly, bro. And that's what I'm trying to say. And if they're thinking to themselves, yeah, he's worth that kind of money, especially if they get that kind of money for Vinicius as they're thinking, and they keep that money aside and thinking, oh, who's the next thing we can go for next year? And they got that kind of money and they're allowed to do it. It won't be surprised if they will try and at least make an attempted offer to see if they can at least attempt these owners to see if we will sell. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Cole Palmer's there for a very long time. And I said it already. I think down the line, he's obviously the face of Chelsea. I think along with obviously Reece James and the others out there. And I think he could possibly be a captain at some point at Chelsea as well. So for me, it's great news. And, you know, I'm so happy we've got him for more years to come. I'm just thinking of that team, that lineup next season, bro. If say, Joao Felix comes in, can you imagine those guys along with Osimhen up top as well? Then you've got Nkuku in that mid. mate, we're going to be we'll have some crazy team next season, and yeah, I'm very happy with that news. Very happy, like most Chelsea fans probably are.
I mean, it did make me laugh when I heard the news because I was like, of course they released that news today. I reckon the aspect of this wasn't going to be announced after the window, because usually you don't really announce contract stuff in a transfer window because you're busy enough anyway. But I think they looked and thought, there's a lot of angry people out there at the moment. Let's just put a little bit of news to distract people for a little bit while we sort ourselves out. I'm hoping it's not, but the cynical person in me thinks that's definitely what they've done, just to get a little bit of positive PR going around. Bobby, obviously, I know you're going to say it's great in terms of Cole Palmer signing the contract, but do you think it was a little bit of a PR to put it out today, all days?
Sorry, yeah. Is this Cole Palmer?
Yeah,
I was distracted. Yeah, I mean, look, to be honest, I don't subscribe to this sort of imaginary dreaded power of Real Madrid, and I don't think in terms of a club of attraction or a club that a player would want to be in, I don't think we're far behind at all. And if in many cases we're probably even ahead, because sometimes if you have too much and you are in such a sure banker situation, players don't want to go to you. Players enjoy building their legacy. They enjoy being part of something, especially when it's fairly new. That's why people ran to Man City when they had the money. It was a project. They had nothing in terms of winning trophies and things, and they were building up their trophy cabinet with the new players to make a name with them. Although I personally believe come September, all that's going to come crashing down and they're going to be quite embarrassed with the outcome of their 150 charges that they can't keep avoiding. And if they do, the whole football world will be up in arms at the corruption before our very eyes. So we'll wait until September to see what happens with that one. But I digress. Cole Palmer, Real Madrid, if Vinicius is going, you can be sure it's because they've already got their little sparkly toy in Hendrick. I've seen him in their preseason, certainly on the bench. He was on the bench against us, and Hendrick is already there. Anyone else? Maybe they'll look at a few others, but I don't look at Cole Palmer, especially now, being within anybody's reach or radar. I mean, they're going to have to empty the bank to come anywhere near us being tempted to release him. So let's enjoy what we have. Enjoy the moment. I mean, crikey, this kid signed that with us till 2033. I know he's young, but that is a lifetime of his footballing career. You know what I mean? That is, whoa.
I mean, effectively, that will be. He could literally potentially retire early if he wanted to at the end of that contract and sign.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's 10 years he's signed for us. After 10 years, we might be fed up with him. Do you know? I just think it's wonderful that these kids are coming here. There's something about the project that we're not seeing, but they are. People aren't hesitating to sign for Chelsea. I've just put in the DMs the video made of, I think it's some African video, but it's made of what Mikel's saying about Osimhen. He's on Osimhen's case. I have a sneaky feeling.
I think apparently Drogba is as well.
Yeah, Drogba's on his case. But I honestly, guys, I have a sneaky feeling that if shut us Osimhen in the room and ask him where do you want to go, he's going to tell you it's Chelsea. He doesn't want to go to PSG. He will go there because it's still a business, it's his livelihood, and if they pay the full whack of his wages, he may not have much choice. But if you really ask him where he wants to go, he'll say Chelsea. These people aren't. A lot of these players aren't messing around. Look at Pedro Neto. Same thing. Look at how happy he is to join us. Players are happy to come here. DJ, we saw Enzo
Yeah,
on Sunday with the captain's armband. You
yeah,
know, look how proud he was to have that. I was really happy to see how the players took to him. It was a seamless thing, really. You know, it
yeah,
was like he's been captain forever, and that
yeah,
was happy to see after the nonsense of the mistake he made. And I want us to move away from that. Look, we've all done silly things. You know, as a kid, I've done things. I'm sure if you look back, somebody somewhere is going to feel it's either racist or sexist or homophobic or something. You do these things, especially when you're younger. You get with the lads, you get a bit carried away, but that's not where your real heart is. You're just in the moment of having a laugh. And I'm glad, you know, the way he's apologized, the donations to charity he wants to make. He's sorry, and he will never do anything like that ever again, and will probably be the reverse. So I'm happy for him. I think you've got to have second chances in life. We can't be this brutal society that every little thing we just take someone and totally destroy them. Do you know what I mean? So these kids want to be here, and I think we've got to enjoy it. We've got to be proud of it. I'm so happy with Cole Palmer signing this deal. That settles him. You know, they want to start families and things. They're looking at their future. That's why, Matt. I don't know where DJ's gone, but that's why I think Joao Felix will be more than happy to come back to Chelsea, because he's going to recognise that this is a place where finally in his career he can settle. I think he'll do well with us. I really do. With his peers, the right age group. Um, I just hope that deal comes through. But yeah, Cole Palmer, excellent news. Great for the lad, great for us as a club. And we can start to build around people like him, Enzo, Lavia, Caicedo. That is the core of our team, and we'll have a few more down the spine, especially. We're still looking for that centre back we can hang our hat on, but I'm sure eventually either one of those that are there will step up to the plate, or we'll bring someone in. I think we've got exciting times, and as DJ said, if by some miracle we land um, Joao Felix and flipping Osimhen, my God, my God, that is one heck of a team. They've just got to start to learn to play together. But I always warn guys, sorry, just before I drop one note of warning. If, and it remains an if, Osimhen comes to us, people shouldn't expect much from him at all in the beginning. This guy has had no preseason. He's had this whole stressful transfer saga. It's going to be a bit of a Caicedo thing. I wouldn't be surprised if he fumbles a lot of the season and doesn't come anywhere near to anything till going on to the end of the season, if that. And that's why it's good. That's why I think it's important for us to hang on to Mark Gui. I like that kid. He's such a trier. He's only going to get better. And if the fan base are mature enough, if Osimhen does come, we should bring down our expectations, because he's not match ready, game ready, not to mention Premier League ready.
No, yeah, I mean, I can understand. I think it's very important to have a pre-season, so that aspect, and it's a new league. It, us as a team, I think the benefit is us as a team are still getting used to this system. So I think it's almost perfect. There's not that there's that combined pressure or almost shared pressure of the team to get. We're going to be slow, but we're going to get going.
Into rhythm, yeah.
And he can
Yeah.
almost. It's not going to be so highlighted on him. It's going to be highlighted across the board a little bit. Obviously, he'll be the crowning jewel with money spent, but fans are fickle, so they're gonna focus on him a little bit. I'm going to give him time when he comes in.
Can I add this, please, lads? You know, a lot has been said about the defence. I think relatively Sunday's performance was quite an improvement. We did show some sort of understanding of how we're going to be playing. There's still a lot of work to be done. The defence was not as bad as it was against Real Madrid and Man City, nowhere near. But the players that gave me concern, I think it was, someone pointed out that, he's coming back from injury, and I thought, okay. But Dewsbury Hall, oh my God, he was just awful. The goal scored by them came from him. They had a drinks break. Then the game started. He didn't close down, and they took off, and the ball got to Thuram, and of course he's an excellent player. I mean, his goal was lovely, to be honest. Top bins. It was a brilliant goal. But Dewsbury Hall, he couldn't close down. He couldn't win the ball. He was terrible. I still remain concerned about Mudryk. He's a worry. Just those two, in terms of individual performances, those two did stick out to me as if they're going to need some work.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. Oh, sorry, man. I was just going to say one thing. I'm not going to lie to you guys. If one thing does worry me going into this new season, lads, it's not so much the performances of Dewsbury Hall and Mudryk, because I think eventually those two players will come good. But my worry at this moment in time, I think, is a defence. We are leaking goals like nobody's business at the moment, and that is worrying me because if you see how many goals we've conceded in pre-season, it ain't Chelsea like, guys. I mean, if you look at the way we are generally, we always used to build from when Jose first came to Chelsea, we all know what he did. He built from the back, got the centre backs that he wanted, made our defence strong, and then he started working down the rest of the team. My worry is defence. Without Thiago Silva, then people can go on about his age. You can call him a granddad, whatever you want to call him. At the end of the day, he was one of our best ever centre backs we had at the team at the football club. Now he's gone with that experience gone. You look around you, who's can come in. You've got Levi Corwell, still young. You've got Fofana, who's just been injured, injury after injury after injury. God knows, we hope he'll last this whole season. Then you look at obviously we brought Tosin in. Hopefully he'll be good for us. Then you look at Badishili, another one who's come back who was injured, just come back. Then you've got Disasi to come back into the team, another one who just come back from injury. Our best defender is not playing, guys, and that best defender is Chalobah. And what are we doing to this guy? So that is my worry. I have to say, going into this season, if we do not, it's all well good going and scoring the goals, but if we're going to be leaky at the back, every team coming to Stamford Bridge or wherever we go and play are going to have a field day against our defence. I mean, I don't know if you guys are concerned about that as well at all, Matt and Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, I am, but I do think it's more of an organisational balance type thing rather than all of these players are crap. I think we've seen before in the first 6 months of Badiashile, he was very good. Then obviously had his groin injury, missed the first part of the season and didn't look the same for the rest of the season. You've seen some of these players. Colwell played well in his loan spell. You've seen Disasi was quite a solid centre back at Monaco, and obviously Tosin we can't judge yet because he's only been here 5 minutes. But I don't think all these players are just terrible. But I do think, and I get this aspect of when we've been playing this such high line, when you play too high, you're just leaving yourself to problems, especially when we're like a team that is not keeping the ball as well as we should, and you're going to lose the ball and teams are going to counter and just play at that space. So I think once we get that balance of dropping that line back a little bit, I think we will find, and also just having a set back four rather than swapping it about as we have in pre-season and generally last season we never had a settled back four. I think once we can get a settled back four and tinker with the balance, the organisation, the system, I find we won't leak as many goals as we are. I don't think we'll be anywhere like we're not going to be a Mourinho defence, but I don't think we'll be anywhere near as bad as we are now. And I think we'll probably come out at the end of this season and go, I said that for example, I said that Badiashile was crap and he should leave, but now I've actually seen how well he's played and I want to keep him. I think we're going to be wrong about some of these people because I think we're going to judge them on the basis of the whole organisation looks crap and is causing problems with everyone. I mean, I don't know, Bobby, if you agree with that or disagree at all.
Yeah, I have to agree. And, talking about individuals, on the positive side, I think young Ugochukwu has proved he deserves a place in this squad at least. He comes on, and things happen. His physicality, he's good on the ball. He can only get better. To think he's still 18, he's another huge plus for us. But I agree, we're not going to be a Mourinho type team. Definitely not. He's more counter attack, stifle games, mass defense, and so on. But I noticed that the way this team is going to defend, if I've got it right from how I saw them play, was by ball possession. Inter Milan came to hit us on the break. They had a plan. They're a bloody good team, and they had quite a few of their best players on the field on Sunday. Trouble is, we didn't let them play. They didn't have the ball, so they couldn't really hurt us in the way they wanted to. And the defenders, but for a mistake, didn't really have that much to do. I can only remember one save by Sanchez, which was certainly a gold-bound ball by Carlos. Remember that one, DJ, coming in from the left back? He had a shot, and Sanchez just really did well to save it. But apart from that, they didn't really hurt us. And I think that's going to be the modus operandi of this team. Ball possession, stifle the hell out of the opposition, get them running, upset, frustrated. I can see that, especially with the lesser teams that won't have the ball much anyway. If it works, it works. But you've still got to have the stalwarts at the back for when you lose the ball. And I think time will tell. I hear what you say about Badiashile. I thought he's got too many bozo moments in him, but he's also coming back from injury. I can see why Maresca likes him because he's excellent on the ball and he can thread a pass. So we've got to maybe give this defense a bit of time. I wish we'd kept Chalobah. I've made no bones about how I feel about him. I think he's our best centre back, but he's going to go. So I've resigned to that, as I've resigned to Gallagher, who I really liked as well. Some of our Cobham lads will be sold off, and those two will be. So let's see what happens with this lot. They didn't do much wrong on Sunday, if anything. I don't think the defence did anything, unless I've missed something. So that there was an improvement there.
Yeah, I think that was an aspect of, I think we kept, apart from, I think Dewsbury Hall was losing the ball a lot, but apart from Dewsbury Hall, I think we kept the ball better as a team, and I think that helped the defence because they weren't exposed as much. I still think they were. I mean, even with I get what you mean. Dewsbury Hall made the mistake further up. I do think both Fofana and Cole made their own mistakes as well at the back, which were very big. I think Fofana's, I can understand. He's tried to come out and make the challenge, but his timing is just off at the moment, which is natural when you've not played for 12 months. He did the right thing, just a second late than he should have. And then Colwell just didn't seem to look like he knew where he was at the time. And Thuram's got in, and you give Thuram that space, he's going to score. So I think, again, that moment, but after that, there wasn't really much, as you said. So I think as long as we can keep it organised, I think we're not going to concede as many goals. Obviously, the bigger teams are going to come and do a bit more damage, but hopefully we can almost sort this out defensively. And I think once we sort the defence out, I think you'll start seeing us do quite well. Because I think attackingly, I think we look, especially the fact we haven't really had our best players in pre-season in the attack wise at all. So I think you're going to see a few more goals, especially if you start bringing in like a Felix and a striker of some sort. Obviously, we'll get into the striker bit in a minute. But I think it's going to be very interesting when we all click together.
By the way, Miss Soul, I agree, mate. I hope the loan rumor has died down now for real. The kid shouldn't go on loan. He needs to be in that first team squad. He's good enough, and he's effective. It's not like he's a player that we carry. He comes on, and he's made a difference. Certainly this pre-season. So I'm with you, mate. I'm an Ugo Chukwu fan.
I mean, I love how fans can. You've
Sorry, I
got
was just
one.
responding to some of the chat.
Right. You got one. I'm just reading the chat. You got one person that in one sentence says Cole had a fantastic game, and then the next was like, "Yep, he's regressed ever since he's come." You got to love fans that have completely different opinions that watch one game, the same game. I mean, I wouldn't say he had a fantastic game, but I wouldn't say he's completely regressed. I just think he's playing in a higher level. Obviously, he's in the same league, but in a higher team. And I think there's aspects that he still needs to learn. But he's young, so he's got to learn it at some point. But I think he will get there. And again, organisation will help him in that aspect. But moving up to the top of the pitch, obviously we've covered a little bit of the Osimhen stuff with the Mikel and Drogba being our little agents at the moment. But there was something that came out earlier that mentioned that we do almost have a 4-striker shortlist, and that Chelsea will be monitoring these 4 players are going to be monitored to see if anything opportunistic comes up. Obviously, we know Osimhen is one. Ivan Toney has been mentioned today as someone that both Chelsea and United are going to potentially look at. Obviously, Brentford are holding out for 60 million, but again, he's going to go for free next summer. So I think Chelsea will be watching that deal to see if Brentford's resolve breaks down towards the end of the window. Obviously, the other 2, I'm not sure who they are, but we'll see how that goes.
I know one of them, bro.
Who do you think it is?
Well, it was mentioned on X today on one of the tweets. Ramos at PSG's been mentioned as another one.
Well, I hope it's the first. I hope it's one of the first 2. I don't really like that Ramos. I mean, someone did say that we'll potentially still obviously monitoring that Victor Coquerez from Sporting, but I think that's based off the fact that we've been linked to him for a while. But whether that's a thing, we're just monitoring to see if that happens. But I don't think that's gonna. I do think the first 2 I mentioned are probably going to be the ones where actual change might happen in the last few weeks. Obviously, we spoke a little bit about Osimhen, so a little bit on should the striker in question be Ivan Toney? Would you guys like that signing, or do you think it's not the type of player we want?
I think Ivan Toney is a wicked player. Do I want him at Chelsea? I think what has not made it, clubs rush for him, apart from the ridiculous price tag, which people are saying, well, talk to the hand. You don't know there's a PSR going on here, mate, to Brentford, and they're going to have to bring that down if they're going to want to make any money out of him at all. But so a couple of things is making people get a bit of cold feet about him. First one is that gambling thing. The issue of trust will always hang over his head. And people don't want that. You've got enough, especially at a club like Chelsea. How negative news spreads about us. We don't want that anywhere near our dressing room, that sort of thing. And I'm not saying he's not changed from his ways, because earlier I was saying that people do need a second chance, and I 150% believe that. But it's always going to be a worry, because gambling is not like coming out with a silly song. It's something of an addiction, which is a different thing. So
addictions can come and go.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that people are wary of that. It's not the end, but it hasn't done his stock any good. Then the next thing is his age. He's 28 years old. He's at the peak of his powers right now. Anything from now on in will be downhill. So after the whole kind of Lukaku type of situation, and because our model is youth anyway, he doesn't fit the model with his age. And so I'm not saying we can't go for him. I just think there's so many sort of red flags from a Chelsea perspective, Chelsea perspective, dotted around the deal that we will not be in a hurry. And I don't think Man United will either because they've got strikers. It's not like us that haven't got strikers. In fact, United also have, a big squad, a huge squad they need to offload. And do they want somebody that's just going to come and add to a wage bill that they are trying to bring down? I know they still pay big money, like they're going to pay Delict and so on because Delict likes big money. But a 28, 29-year-old, I'm not sure they're going to go down that road again. So there are things that are working against him. However, in terms of being a lethal finisher, as a short-term fix, he's perfect, absolutely perfect. But this day and age, do we want a short-term fix? We're not looking that way. I don't think we've ever bought a player on a short-term fix since a season and a half ago. So it's the less likely, possible, but less likely, I'm afraid. Gyökeres even less likely. But, if the Osimhen deal doesn't start to gain legs, these other sort of outliers will start to become more and more prominent, and Chelsea may make a move that way
Yeah, I mean, I
if
think
they're
with
still
the
available.
I think with the betting aspect of Tony, I do take a little bit of positive light that the offences, obviously, when he'd actually committed them, they were a few years ago, as it was anyway, when he was, I think, at Peterborough. I think it was. I can't remember who he was at before Brentwood. So I think
it was.
there is an aspect that it happened, and then there was a gap where he didn't do it and wasn't involved, and obviously he's now gone to seek help and while he's been banned. So hopefully, I'm hoping that is something that obviously the club, I imagine, will be on top of that, of some sort of measures to make sure that he's not doing that again.
Yeah,
I think it's not it's something to consider, but I think it's not a total. Oh my God, we're not going to sign him.
No, it's not a showstopper, but it's a negotiation hint.
Yeah.
If I was negotiating for him, I wouldn't put it out there because it's almost prejudicial. But I will, if it was me doing the deal, I would hint. I'll say, hey, look, you got to come down a bit here because ultimately there are risks in and around every player, and he certainly has his history. Say something like that, and you use that as leverage to try and bring down the price.
Yeah, definitely. I think the aspect about the age, I understand the point of it, but I do think players nowadays, that there are players that do last a bit longer, and I think Tony's someone that he doesn't rely. I mean, he obviously relies a lot on strength. He's not someone that is someone like Timo Werner, for example, that relies a lot on pace, and you can understand as you get older that pace deteriorates. And you see someone like Harry Kane, for example, who's into his 30s. You've got people like Lewandowski who are into their mid-30s, and they still are at a decent to high level. I'm not saying that Ivan Toney's that level, but you could still probably get 3, 4, 5 years out of him. I know, obviously, we love to look at young players, so I do think that will be the aspect where we'll go after Osimhen instead, because he does fit the profile a bit more. But I wouldn't, again, it's something to consider, but it's not something, again, I look at Tony and go, massive deal breaker, because arguably maybe we do need someone that is at the peak of their powers at the moment just to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, with him, speaking about him, why he has to be a short term for us. I mean, 3 years is an average contract for most people, but I don't see, if he does come, him coming on anything more than that. And why I say this is that it's interesting you should mention Harry Kane. We watched him in the Euros. I actually watched him in person in the finals in Berlin, and he has exponentially lost pace. He has lost something in his game. Is that 1 or 2 yards slower, a little bit less alert? There's something gone with him, and people may say, "Oh, he had an injury." Nah, that's not the Harry Kane of old. Age is beginning to seep in there. And just as it happens with these players, they start to lose a bit of pace, they start to lose a bit of this, lose a bit of that, then boom, they suddenly hit that brick wall, and it's a nosedive, the Ivanovic type of nosedive, the Shevchenko type of nosedive, where you'd be watching Shevchenko and it's like he's running backwards and the defender's running forwards. He was that slow. So it's a risk. And why I say it's a risk in particular with Ivan Toney is that he has a chronic back condition, which
Mhm.
nearly stopped him from playing football at all and has surprised him every year that he's been able to continue. And what's to say that at some point, age may actually resurrect that situation? There's a lot to consider there and a lot that's going against him. I think Brentford are bluffing to try and sell him for 60 million because I don't
No
see
way.
anybody dropping that money.
No way, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, for me, guys, I look at it and I say to myself, everything you guys have actually said, I 100% agree on. I think the only thing I've said it and I alluded on it earlier on is experience, and that's one thing we do need in this team is experience. And I know we haven't done that. I think ever since we signed Giroud, and that was in the Roman era. I think when we brought in an experienced player to come and help us in terms of a striker, and I'm not saying Ivan Toney is the same as a Giroud, but I look at the situation. I think, well, if you're not looking to invest in an Osimhen, who I really want as my option first, because he's too expensive, what it might be, and you're looking to bring the next thing through. Obviously, we've got Guri here, who's already there, and if he's gonna watch what Ivan Toney does, a good player to learn from. But like Bobby said, though, I think my only thing with Ivan Toney is, as we said already, I think the gambling thing for one, which he's obviously forgotten about. I think it's just obviously it's been forgotten about now because he's obviously he's done his apology. He says he's not going to do it again, whatever. But the other thing, obviously, is his chronic back injury, and I think that could be a problem. That could possibly hit us down the line if he was to get that same injury again. And knowing our luck, how injuries are going at the football club at the moment, guys, don't be surprised if he was to come in and get that injury. So that's one thing we don't want to end up doing again with him. But he's a good striker, experienced that he is. Obviously, he's a London lad as well. Obviously, playing in Brentford, so he won't. So for him to come to Chelsea is not far for him. But look, for me, as I said all along, I'll only bring him in because of experience. But obviously, our options, I think we can all agree here. I think all of us have said it. I think our options is obviously Osimhen, and I hope he's the one we go for in terms of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I look at it, Osimhen will be first target. If that just does not work, I do think Tony's a signing, as you said. Even if Tony had 3 or 4 years on his deal, I think 60 million is it's pushing it in terms of the fee. But when he's got 1 year left, I don't see Brentford getting anywhere near that. So I think it's something Chelsea, I think, know that a week, 4 or 5 days before the end of the window, they can just push and prey on Brentford a little bit, put it down, and potentially I could see him going for 35, 40, which I think is if you get for a player that scores as many goals as he has at the moment, I think it's not with all the risks. I think that's probably a bit more worth it to take that risk. But as you guys said, I would prefer Osimhen to come in out of the rest because I think he's that top quality, and obviously will last a lot longer. But obviously it's a bit more complicated with the wages, with the sale. But as you said, Napoli need to sell as well with contract, and obviously Conte wants Lukaku. But it is what it is. Trying to think what else there was today to talk about. I think we've covered.
Sorry,
most.
before I go and get a cup of tea. There's the Jackson talk. 3 years for extra years for him being negotiated.
Oh yes, that is something I definitely want to talk about. It was actually interesting how the podcast that I go on and host with Carlito. Actually, well, we've kind of inadvertently got ourselves a little a journalist coming on, because we kind of called out a journalist for saying that after Matt Law said the contract talks are being done, and there was a journalist that said Nico Jackson's unsettled, and the journalist actually DM'd us. He DM'd us and has said,
apologise. I hope.
No, it was I'd like to come on to explain my story.
Oh, brilliant!
So
make sure
we're going to on Sunday after the Man City game, we could actually get some sort of explanation.
Fantastic!
I joked to Carlito. I said, "You take the reins of that. I'm not. You do that."
And I bet you Carlito was up for it. Yeah, I bet he said, "Yeah, man, I'll do it, 100%." Yeah.
He just replied to him saying, "Just do it. Let's do it." That'll be spicy to say the least. I'll just be sitting there with my popcorn, just enjoy it,
listening to it.
It's very difficult to defend lies. I really wonder what he's going to say, but I'd like to see that video. That's for sure. Just give me 2 minutes, Dad.
I am very intrigued. But DJ, we'll go to you. Obviously, Jackson and a deal. Do you agree with that? Him getting I don't think it's going to be as big a rise as Cole Palmer, but do you think he deserves, after his season, a pay rise and a new contract?
Yeah. Listen, I think he does, Matt. I think a lot of people have been harsh on Jackson, to be honest with you. And I know in the beginning he was irritating a lot of the Chelsea fan base. You could hear it. I don't know if you went to a lot of the matches last season, Matt, but I think you could hear it sometimes in the fan base really getting on the guy's back sometimes, right? And for me, I think he didn't deserve any of that. I think what he has proved to be at the end of the day is whether people like to accept it, and there's no way. It's what I'm saying here is basically saying that he's any time the player Didier Drogba is. We all know Didier Drogba is the king of Stamford Bridge, and that will never go. Yeah, but he finished this season with more goals than Didier Drogba did in his first season. And I think a lot of people seem to forget about that. And this is one of the reasons why I'm one of those. Yeah, he can be frustrating, Jackson, sometimes, but when he's on his game, when he does play and he gets into it all, he can be very effective. And the guy has got a good head on him as well. I mean, the guy can actually score some good heading goals as well. And I think we've seen that as well last season as well. So, yeah, look, he's useful. I think he's a good player. I think he can only get better. And, if he gets a player like Osimhen that comes in, he's just going to learn from one of the best around. And you got with him also, one of the other ones I think is one of the best players around, only because we've got him at the football club. He's been injured. He's in Cristiano Nkunku. The guy's going to learn quite a lot from these players, and then you obviously got possibly Joao Felix in there. So he's got a lot of players that he can learn from, and I say learn from. And you say, why are you saying Joao Felix? You're saying DJ, because I keep saying it. Joao Felix has been around longer than anyone else, and the guy's just got experience, even at the age of 24. So he's got a lot he can learn from certain strikers, and so can this other striker, a young Spanish striker. So for me, look, Nguhi. So for me, I think he deserves a contract. I hope he gets it. I'm not saying he's the best ever striker at Chelsea. I'm not saying that at all, and that we don't need to sign anyone else, because I'll be lying to you right now if I was to say that to you. All right. So for me, I think he needs to be. I think give him the contract, but obviously he needs someone else up top with him to get that more experience to take us where we want to go.
I mean, I've said it for a while now. I think he's the best striker we've had since Diego Costa. I think Tammy outscored him Premier League by 1 goal in his first season. But I think the link-up play was not there with Tammy Abraham like Nico Jackson is and was. And I think there was many chances that Nico could have scored and didn't score, which obviously is on him. But as he gets older, a bit more experienced, he might score a few more of them. And I think it's the overall link up. I remember before Nkuku got injured in that pre-season where him and Nkuku were just linking up, and they straight away had that just click straight away. And I'm very now Nkuku's back, he's fit and hopefully not getting any more of these niggling injuries. I'm really interested to see how they connect. How obviously Jackson also connects well with Palmer, and I'll be interested to see how he connects with Felix as well. If Felix does come in, I think he's a great player, and I've been Jackson's defender most of the season. And I think where I found it changed was when he went off for AFCON, and we saw Broja playing, and just Broja was obviously coming off his injury still. It was just night and day between Jackson playing and Broja playing. I think a lot of people were like, at the time, they were like, oh, Broja should get more game time and Jackson shouldn't start all the time. And then everyone suddenly was like, oh, Broja's crap, get him out. And Jackson, we can't wait for Jackson to come back.
Chelsea fan base,
I'm just sitting there like, yes.
That's the Chelsea fan base, Matt, as you know, bruv. This is the thing about some of our. I said it out there already. Some of our fans out there, it's hilarious at some of the stuff you hear. I mean, I've been around a fan, as you know, I've been a fan of the club since the 80s. I've seen far worse. I've seen my club get relegated. I've seen our club go, save the bridge for £1. I've gone through all that, with my club. And, but we still, regardless of the whole situation, we still ended up winning things. Obviously, when Matthew Harding came in, we won trophies, and Roman just took it to another level. But when you hear some of the fans back now, to what I always say, the fans of 2004, because that's when obviously we won the Premiership under Roman in our first season when Jose Mourinho came in as our manager, and hearing all the fans from that era, I say from that era because I'm giving my age away here probably now, and hearing the way they all say, oh, get rid of him, he's crap, he's this, he's that. I don't know how people look. I don't know how people look at football sometimes. I mean, do you just look at it? Oh, okay, he's had one bad game, he's had two bad. Get him out. He's crap. It doesn't work that way. You need to give players time. Do you get me?
Honestly, it's like the whole Enzo Maresca thing. They're like, get him out pre-season. I'm like, this is pre-season. Like, honestly, what in the God's grace earth is going? Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, well, tell me about it, mate. Honestly, it's shocking.
The one thing I noticed, and it was when Samu got announced, and a lot of people criticised it naturally because everyone, if it's not Osimhen or Pedro Neto, the signing's crap, and they just abused the plan. And it was I guess it's the Atletico version of PYS or Absolute Chelsea. It was I think Atletico Universe, and he come out and said like, my God, you guys are absolutely ridiculous. Like, no wonder players don't want to sign for certain clubs. And it's like the way you're reacting, players won't sign for you in the future because they're just going to get abuse. And when they haven't even done nothing, they haven't even put on the shirt yet, and then you get abused.
100%, bro. I remember even before he kicked the ball for us, mate. They're already getting the abuse from the fans, aren't they?
Sorry, I'm back.
Already getting the abuse.
I've always said with us, and I will say it's modern. When I say modern fans, I don't just mean obviously you got more touristy fans, but I don't think they're so much the problem in terms of it's more that young generation of fan base coming in now. I just think they're so spoiled, absolutely spoiled. Obviously, I can understand it. I mean, for me, since I've watched football in terms of actually noticing it and remembering it, I've not seen. It's been the Roman time, so I've not seen.
Yeah, of course.
I've not actually seen struggle like both of you have. But at least I mean I can understand it. I've watched the past, and I can see what we've gone through. And while I haven't experienced it myself, I can understand. But people don't, and that's almost sometimes I felt like the last few years. I'm like, in a way, I'm kind of glad that we're going through at least some sort of struggle, because it actually might teach people. I mean, it isn't.
Yes, agreed.
I think unfortunately with some of these fans, we'd have to actually get relegated for some of these fans to actually kick in and show what.
God hope that doesn't happen. But I get where you're trying to come from.
But before people say, I do not want that to happen, but that actually might teach some of these fans to actually learn a bit about football. Hopefully we stay successful, but obviously them fans are going to stay as they are.
Matt, as I said to you, bro, and Bobby can vouch for me on this one. I've seen my team get relegated. I've seen us get relegated. This is the problem. Yep. I've seen us get relegated and come back up. Not more on one occasion, by the way. Yeah, I think it was under my time of supporting the club. I think we got relegated 3 times. Bobby, maybe correct me on that one if I'm wrong. I think it's 3 times we got relegated. I mean, I started supporting Chelsea in the 80s, or was it twice? Twice or 3 times. And the players we started bringing in, but and we had the back then. We don't have the players and the luxuries as we do now. Back then, it was always free transfers coming in. You're bringing the next suit. I mean, obviously, bringing players at the end of their age. If I'm talking about, you're bringing like a 30-year-old Ruud Gullit coming to your football club, or a 30-year-old Gianfranco Zola, a Palucci, Casaraghi, Vialli, all these type players, man. You know. But anyway,
31, wasn't he when he came? They were all really old, but fortunately they still had enough in the tank to do us some good. But I mean, we never want to wish for relegation again and that, and I don't see this lot of fans being able to handle it because it's hard.
I honestly think you'd have a purge of the fan base where they just go
And rightly so, well, not rightly so, but understandably so, because it's harder when you have had and then you are without than when you've been without and then you have, if you know what I mean. For those of us that were brought up with Chelsea coming up, as it were, going through difficult times, we didn't really have too much glory to go by. Our dads or our granddads will tell us about the 1955 league championship win. Some will tell you about the 65 League Cup win, and then the 1970 FA Cup win. A bit of a memory for some of us like myself, but I was very young. But then going on from there was the sort of wilderness period for us. We were struggling. We did have times where we could have won something, like that young set, the Wilkins set, I call them, when Ray Wilkins was the 18-year-old captain, and they went on and they actually finished 3rd in the league. That was a brilliant team that could have got better, but for financial situations. But we never really got back into the groove properly until the 90s. In the 80s, he won a couple of Mickey Mouse Cups, like the Milk Cup and all that nonsense. But they were real doldrum times. So we became battle hardened by living through those times. I can tell you some stories, personal things like me almost cursing myself for supporting Chelsea in the first place. I used to wake up and think, why am I putting myself through this? It was such a heartache, but I couldn't help myself. The blue bug had bitten me and I was done. But it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice. And so you value the success, the plethora of success we had when Roman came. And we were building up to it anyway before he came because we were winning things. And now we've got a little wobble. We know it's not time to just panic and, but a lot of these guys, they can't stand it. They're like, oh my God, the world's come to an end.
It just makes me laugh. I mean, I think I've explained this a little bit before. Obviously, in my family, it's a bit of a divide with football. My mum's side of the family is all Chelsea. They've been Chelsea for years. And my dad's side of the family is Arsenal and West Ham. However, my dad decided to break the mould. Decided he wanted to support Ipswich Town casually, as you do. And obviously, I've obviously been to Portman Road and seen some games because obviously it's much easier to get tickets there, and it's nice to watch football when you're not invested in it. But I've seen him go through the struggles and the highs and the lows right now. I mean, obviously, we're in the Premier League now, we've got new owners, but obviously they went down to League One, and our fans moan about Bowley and Ed Barley. Bloody hell, Marcus Evans to Ipswich, isn't it? That's a bad owner. That if you want a bad owner, that is a terrible owner. He destroyed that club and could have put it into not just to a Reading or it was times where it could have been a better situation for Ipswich. But thankfully they got actually, funny enough, American ownership and it's doing quite well. So it proves American ownership does work in some circumstances. But I've learned from him seeing his high and lows that this is the part of football, and you've just got to support the club, no matter where. What I mean, for me, Chelsea could be in League Two. God forbid they are, but I would still be supporting them and won't wait. I mean, the only time I've looked and gone, do I really want to be part of this, was when the whole Super League stuff started going around, because I opposed the Super League that much that for me it wouldn't be football at that point as the Super League was. So I thought I'd have questions of whether I want to be even interested in football at that point. But that's a bit of a different debate than just going up and down in terms of quality. But yeah.
Matt, just a quick thing, bro. I've got to go and pick up my daughter here, mate. So I'm gonna have to go for now, yeah. But thanks for having me on, brother. As always, thanks. Big up to Bobby again. Always great having a stream with Bobby. Big up to you again, Matt. You're doing a great job with Kachilla. Mate, long continue, bro, until Kachilla comes back. Yeah, to everyone in the comments, please smash the button and subscribe to the channel as you guys always do. Just make this channel grow more and more as it always does. And you've got two great people now left on the stream, and obviously Matt and Bobby. So give them all the support you guys can give them, and big up to you all, yeah. And I'll catch up with you guys very soon.
Big up, DJ. God
Big
bless.
up to you.
Big up. Peace out.
But yeah, Bobby, this is your message.
Yeah, Matt, do you know, right? I've got to say, honestly, hand on heart, I don't understand these teams, these people that support teams. Fortunately, in this country, we don't have that much of a problem. Yeah, I know Man City have had, back-to-back success, and they look like, the invincibles at the moment. But their time will come. The castle will fall. And the thing about the English Premier League is that the level of competition is so fierce that it's very difficult to remain at the top constantly. There's going to be times you're going to have a bit of a wobble. Even the mighty Man United had a wobble when Roman's Chelsea came along and put their nose out of joint a bit every now and then. But these leagues, like the Bundesliga, less so in Serie A these days, but La Liga, I can't understand these fans that Bayern Munich, Real Madrid fans. Barca's having a bit of a rough time these days, but even them, I think it's boring. How can you, although Bayern last season, they had a little bit of a blip in their league, so I suppose that was a good thing, but it's rare. You're supporting a team that 80% of the games you're really sure you're going to win. There's no, there isn't that competition. I just think it's boring. I think that level of winning in a sport, I don't understand it. I don't see. Do you know what I mean? There's a buzz in, you're coming up to a game. You've got your heart in your mouth. You don't know whether you can. You know what I mean? Like how I felt when we went for our both Champions Leagues finals. I was a wreck. And the first one, oh my God, the build up, the games, the game at the Nou Camp, I was in pieces. We had to win that competition just for my mental health, and then the second one, we didn't have that much of a scare on the way, although we played some really difficult teams. But going in to play Man City, you don't know if you can do this. You don't, you know what I mean? It's exciting. But you come from these places and you're supporting a team that is so much more superior to everybody else. Nah, Nah, I don't see that. I'm like, what's the point, really?
It's
What?
boring. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, that's me. I mean, I almost like the chaos of Chelsea, where 1 minute we're winning the Champions League, and next minute we're sitting in. Well, we're but Mourinho, we won the league. We're the best, by far the best team in that year, and then we're suddenly sitting 16th of December. Like, it's chaos. It almost, it's not with your heart, but it's almost it's exciting to see Chelsea. Like, people, one thing I don't get as well is that everyone keeps going, "Oh, we're absolutely chaotic right now," and listing off the squad about 42 players um, in the squad. I'm like, do we not remember like we had like 50 players out on loan, the loan army, as we said? This has always been a thing. Obviously, it's in
yeah.
a different aspect with the rules now, but we've always been chaotic and crazy and stuff happening. I think people are very short memories in some aspects.
Memories, yeah. They even
Um,
forget the way we had to sell the club, buy the club, all that going on. That isn't, the part of the chaos isn't really by our design. It's just by, but by things that were forced upon us, really.
we are the
So
only. I think we are the only club I've ever heard of that has ever been sanctioned by a government before.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
is Chelsea Figs. It's like,
yeah, yeah. Gosh, we've been through it all. We really have been through it. But that's part of the excitement. It's keeps you on your toes. It keeps you guessing, and it gives you something. How can you love something and you've not had any issues along? Do you know what I'm saying? You can't. I can turn around and tell people, I'm a fan of Chelsea. I really am. you know, at my age, and I've got grown-up kids, and some of my wife, she hears me talking to you lot, she just, my daughters just say something. They just leave the room. They're just like, this bloke, he can't, he can't help himself. They accept me for who I am,
yeah,
you know. And I own it. I don't care. I love the club. I love the club. Yeah, I'm a serious man, but this is my passion. And yeah, it's just I don't know. If it was a team that everything was good, you're winning all the time, I don't get it, mate. I don't get
yeah,
it. That's not for me.
yeah. And my dad always used to say to me, "It's like football always goes round in cycles. Apart from your Real Madrids, your Bayern Munich, your Barcelona's, you will have teams that do really well for 5 or 10 years. They'll have their era of success, and then
Yeah,
another team will come along, another team, and we've just had a very almost. My dad used to say, Chelsea have had a very elongated success, partially because of the money aspect, but sometimes you just got to go for a few years of hardship. I mean, Man United have now had that after Fergie. Arsenal had a
yeah,
period of 8 years. Tottenham are in a never-ending downward spiral of just mediocrity, which I don't normally say this, but big up the Tottenham fans who actually keep on supporting their club through just not good time, not good time, not good time. I mean, at least we get the ups and downs. They're just that where they are. So credit for them for actually being able to stay committed to it. But yeah, I mean, it's like with me, my girlfriend's like, as soon as football's on, it's like, no, God, just she knows I won't even pay attention. It's just straight away. She always argues my first love was Chelsea.
yeah,
She
yeah.
definitely,
I know that's like, I don't care. I just own it. And when you own something like that, people actually love you for it. They're like, okay, that's him. Um, um, can I answer? Can I explain it? I can't explain it to you. I don't know why, but it is what it is, you know. And it's wonderful. I've had some of the greatest highs. Fortunately, I'm able to say in my life supporting our club, and I've also had some blooming lows. I can tell you that. But in it all, we always come out the other side and we stay blue.
yeah,
So you're right. This new set of youngsters. I don't know. I don't think some of them would be able to if things really went south.
Honestly, I think you'd purge at least 40-50% of them.
Yeah,
I think they'd go
sad.
support Arsenal or go and support they'd support Real Madrid or something, and just not support an English club.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not. I wouldn't say it's exactly the end of the world if we had a purge of some fans, and have the proper fans that are here and like me and you that really just bleed Chelsea as they say.
Well, unfortunately, the consequence of having to go through that is not something, to be honest, I would care for. And the bigger you are, the more you're going to get the fickle lot that will be there. It just comes with the territory,
I do think the way modern football is now, you have got more sterilized in terms of fans. Like they're just not. It's not the same passion as the kind of the old. It's so different to how it was before with all the money and aspects. I can understand why some younger fans just look at that and go, "I want to be at the top. I only know the top. That's it." They don't understand. I mean, like Chelsea should never, bar a real disaster, with the money we've got, and we should never ever be looking at going down, because it's such a level of difference. That's just how it is. But obviously, back in the days, as you said, you go up and down. It only takes just a bad season to go down, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, money has always controlled sport. Always. You just look at the Olympics. The rich countries always walk away with the prizes. That was why, there was one race. I think it was the 200 meters race. Some guy from some small African country won it, and I was really pleased for him, because it wasn't, the United States or even us, or one of the sort of big first world countries. It was this little place that most people haven't heard of. I can't even remember the name. So that's nice. Sometimes the underdog has to have his day for us to have a sport at all. But money is it. Money is king. It is what it is, and I don't think that will ever change in sport, or indeed a lot of life. If you can afford to do things, you're always going to have an advantage, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Money's always run sports and games. I think just the sheer amount of money, it just makes it even more exaggerated now. Apparently, Tiger Beast just said in the chat, apparently the Napoli director is in London. I haven't seen the actual source for it. That'll be interesting. I suppose that might be to more discuss Lukaku at the moment, rather than them deals might be connected.
Yeah, I think that'll be more Lukaku based. But even offloading Lukaku to me would be an achievement, honestly, because that bad is like a bad smell that we haven't been able to get rid of. So getting rid of him would be nice, and that wages. Although I think he has already brought his wages down, hasn't he?
He has had some sort of wage cut. I don't think it's anywhere near as it's still a hefty wage, but
yeah,
it'll be good to get that wage off. But yeah. So it's Fabrizio who said it, apparently.
Fabrizio.
So he said, Victor Osimhen will not reduce his salary, not even €1. I'm 100% sure. He's 11 million euros net per season. Conte wants Lukaku. Negotiation is ongoing. Napoli director is in London to negotiate with Chelsea face to face to find an agreement. So that does sound like it's Lukaku based, but I imagine they're not going to have in there sort of Lukaku stuff and not talk about Osimhen. I imagine it will be discussed as well. But
what is Osimhen's wage what does it come to every month? Forgive my maths. When you give the whole year figures, my brain starts struggling to compute that into a weekly wage? What is
Let
that?
me have a look. Because the only thing with it, Italy do it at the fact of with our wages, we list it as kind of gross wage, so before tax. Whereas Italy, they list their wages as after tax. So you've got to consider actually it's higher because he's still paying his tax. Trying to find it now. Just having a look. The figure that I've seen before is 246,000.
246. Wow.
But that will be that would be before tax. So you're talking 300.
300. Yeah.
Probably the Lukaku wage, the Sterling wage.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. I think that's the thing. I think Chelsea will have to come to the fact that they're going to have to break the wage structure they have. Which I think if you do get rid of Lukaku, you do get rid of Kepa, and you do get rid of maybe someone like Sterling off the wage, I think you can maybe accept it and hope it doesn't ruin the dynamic too much. I mean, at the
moment, Chilwell looks more likely to be going than Sterling at the moment.
And even Chilwell, 180 Chilwell's, something around that.
He's on 200 and something, Chilwell.
Yeah, so even that wage coming off, it's something that's huge. I mean, one more thing I wanted to mention before we finish is something I don't normally agree with Matt Law a lot generally, but when he actually speaks like states facts, he can sometimes be quite useful. And he mentioned that apparently Chelsea's average wage under Roman Abramovich more than 200,000 a week for a player. Now the current average wage, Palmer's new contract for a player is 60,000 a week, with obviously the incentives on top after. But I mean, people slag off these owners, and in some cases, good reason. But to have that radical reform of the wage structure in such a quick time, I think it's phenomenal.
It is. That's quite astonishing.
And that's where I think...
And very good, and probably why we've been surviving PSR all the time.
And that's the thing, because I always say to people, the biggest expenditure for a club is wages. So you take that out of the fact, then you can spend more money. And obviously the amortization stuff will have an effect as well. But getting these wages down, I said to one of my friends before, I don't understand why clubs don't do incentive contracts more heavy in this way anyway, because obviously, of course, these players don't want to be earning the money. They don't want to be earning on average players earning 60k for a top footballer. That's not that much. So that would, for me, surely motivate them to actually want to win, rather than be like Sterling, who's comfortable and doesn't have to do
anything.
No.
Well, next season with the wage cap algorithm, they're going to have to. This is what is governing a lot of the transfer market. If you notice, not many people are doing deals. In fact, apart from us and Man United, nobody else is really. I think Spurs has done a little bit, and West Ham, I suppose.
You get the occasional crazy like Solanke and Alvarez.
Yeah.
But everyone's quieting down because I think Chelsea have been, again, in a positive way. We've seen these regulations come in and acted quick before everyone else. I mean, arguably this transfer slowdown probably should have happened last year, the year before potentially. I do think Saudi Arabia have also affected that and prolonged that because obviously they'll get the market going a little bit more. But yeah, I think that you look at Liverpool have not done anything. Zubimendi's just rejected them completely outright, which I found a bit funny. And now apparently the rumours are that they're not going to sign a certain defensive midfielder at all now.
Do you know, it's really funny that I think Liverpool were hoping on the Saudis coming back for Mo Salah. And have you noticed the Saudis haven't really done anything this summer?
I think even they're looking at the fact. I think they've got the problem of you had it with a few players. Henderson wasn't comfortable out there. There's a few players that have looked to come back because they're not that happy. I think they're looking at it. Well, we'll cherry pick certain players, but we need to look at how we can improve the player experience as well. Because at the end of the day, they want to keep these players in the league. They don't want to be embarrassed of players going there for a season and then immediately I want to come back.
Yeah, I think it helps if for a country that is so sort of Islamically based, it does help if you are a Muslim player because you will understand that culture easier than anybody else.
That's exactly why Mendy, Kepa. I mean, I'm surprised Ziyech never went. Obviously, he had that deal that didn't go through. He tried, but I'm surprised it never actually materialised later on. And even though I was looking at Milan Sarr, I thought if anyone's just going to go get him, I feel like maybe Saudi would just put a measly fee in there and take him along. But,
they didn't want him.
Even Saudi weren't bothered.
They weren't keen. Yeah. But is Kepa a Muslim? I don't think he is.
No, he isn't.
He struggle there. I think there is that cultural thing because it's quite a strict way of living. So if you go there, especially if you go with your family, if they find themselves a bit restricted from what they're used to, they may not be as happy as I mean, look at someone like Kante. Kante seems very happy there, as does what's the other one we sent there? The other centre back we had. Koulibaly. They're not complaining.
And players like Mahrez and Mane are out there, and they're all very happy out there because I think it's. Yeah. I think one of my friends who's also Muslim, he said that it's effectively it's like going to the birthplace of Christianity, really. So it's much more like it's a spiritual benefit of being there as well. And that's where I thought I'm surprised they haven't got him for Mo Salah again. I wonder whether they're smartly looking and going, let's wait till that contract runs down, and just not bother. What they're probably even thinking, why would we spend all this money when we know we can, in like a year's time, we can just get him for nothing.
Oh, has he only got a year left?
I think it's a year, or next year will be his last year, which then obviously again they could probably get him for.
He's not getting any younger. He's in his 30s now, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
but I suppose that level you probably could get away with it a bit more.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I thought they'd be all over it because they wanted to spend upwards of 200 million on it. And Liverpool said no.
Yeah, his contract expires in 2025, so it's next year.
Wow.
So and that's the same with Trent Alexander-Arnold as well, which is where apparently the Real Madrid rumours are coming in a little bit for him.
Oh, I can see the Saudis. They're not stupid. They've got money, but they're not stupid.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think they'll work smart. They're not going to pay. Because Liverpool aren't going to let him go. They'd rather let him go for nothing than let him go for a measly fee now because they need. I don't know. I think Liverpool. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, Liverpool will be top four." I don't think they'll get. I think they'll. The new manager is not going to be as. I think he's going to need time to adapt. And the fact that they've signed no one, and apparently, I think Van Dijk's considering whether he wants to sign a new contract as well. You've got Trent, sort of a year left. Salah's got a year left, and that can cause problems. And Salah wasn't very good at the end of the year either.
Every team at some point they have to refresh the whole team. We've been through that. Maybe they're going to have a little episode of that as well with time. They didn't look bad in pre-season, to be fair. They look quite good. The few games I saw them.
It's true, but we remember Poch looked fantastic in pre-season. So
yeah.
We made nothing really. But it'll be. I think it'll be interesting. But a few people are asking me where we think. I'm still convinced we'll be 4th, 5th. I think hopefully be a Champions League spot if we can do well in the European competitions, and then we'll hopefully be Champions League. And I think I was discussing with someone else. I think once we do get in that Champions League spot, I think that's when we really start excelling, because obviously we won't have the problem of sponsorship every bloody year, whether we'll get one or not. We'll have much more revenue coming in, and I think Chelsea hopefully will be settled by that. Or dare I say? But do you think we'll finish? I think I've asked you before, but do you think we'll finish Champions League this season, or do you think we'll just miss out?
I think we have the possibility, we have the potential to do that. Two things are going to determine our season. Fitness, we cannot have that level of injury that we had last season. It's totally debilitating. And how quickly can they learn Maresca's way, and how effective is his way? Because as we're still learning about him as well. What does he do in game? There's so many different scenarios that he's going to have to prove himself. And, you and I both know, trust me, there's no better place in the world that will find you out if you're deficient than the Premier League. Everybody studies you. The other managers study you. They all have a portfolio on you. And if you don't come out and show you can deal with it, you will be found out. So I'm hoping he can rise to the occasion. If he does, most definitely we'll finish in the top 4, in my opinion. Because if you look at how we performed from January to the end of the season last season, when we were slowly getting a couple of players back, and okay, it was a different manager, but we were top 3 for sure in terms of our performances and points. So we shall see.
Yeah, I think with the fitness aspect, I think we can't get any worse than we were. So I think it can only get better.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, you never know. We might come out and we might be like, yeah, we have to recall some players back because we've got no one left. Yeah, I think the injury will be a bit better this season. And I think, again, how Aston Villa do with the Champions League. We saw our Newcastle come. Newcastle, I think, will do a bit better. How Tottenham will do the second season. And there's a lot of questions going into it. I'm interested to see how, we've got that adaptation period. I'm interested to see when it clicks how good we are. I think that would really determine how far we can go with this. Before we go, do you have anything else? Final thoughts at all?
No, we just keep looking to see how the news breaks with this transfer saga we've got going on. We always have something, don't we? They never have a sort of peaceful transfer market. But we'll wait and see what happens. Apart from that, all eyes are on, is it Sunday we're playing Man City?
Yeah, Sunday. Oh, it's typical that Anthony Taylor is a referee in the game. I never get.
What I said on it.
I never get that someone that's from Manchester can referee a Manchester club for a game of a Manchester club involved.
It's beyond me. I've already made my feelings clear.
Yeah. Well, to be fair to him, the last few games that he has been in charge of Chelsea games, he's actually not done anything disastrous. So, touch wood, that carries on. It can just be a normal game. I don't think really Man City need the ref to help them. I think they'll be just fine on their own potentially. So we might need him to be on our side for once, but we'll see how it goes. Before we go, just want to say, big up to Coach Hill for actually joining us a little bit in the comments.
Oh, Coach.
And apparently I'm not going anywhere, so apparently we'll see more. But Coach Hill, if you're still there, we'll discuss. We'll discuss. I might need a bit of I've got a bit of a release clause. You might have to fill out. Need a bit of a wage, a little bit of bonuses for each stream. We'll discuss that in the comments. But big up to everyone 150 people on average, and going up and down a little bit. But big up to all of you that have watched. Big up to all of you that smashed the like button, and of course, the people that subscribe. If you haven't done any of them things, please do. Helps the channel. Bobby, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Always a pleasure. It really is. Really is, mate.
I feel it was a really good chat today, not just about the transfer news stuff, but just about Chelsea in general. I love it when we do that. When fans can do just almost that deep kind of nostalgia chats. I think they're fantastic to watch from different people's perspectives.
Ultimately, we love our club and we want to see them do well, and it's our life, and we got to own it and just be proud of it.
And that's a happy takeaway we can take. Everyone has different opinions on the club, but at the end of the day, hopefully we all love this club, and that's the thing that brings us all together. And I'll leave it on that positive note, because I can't think of a better note to leave it on. But thank you all for watching. We'll see you on another stream of the Chelsea